All right, welcome to Telling It Like It Is. On the other side of the screen there, old Eastport, South Manashock. Nicky Dittmer playing soccer down there at Florida Southern. The Moccasins.
That's right.
You see in the background that he loves the Celtics. So we have a Celtics preview tonight. And Nicky reached out and said, "Can I do the Celtics preview?" I was like thrilled. I'm like, Mamacita, all right. Reach out and do the Celtics preview. But pretty impressive. I mean, what a great game last night the Celtics had. But thanks for coming on first, Nick. How you doing? All right.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Yeah, how are you?
I'm doing all right. You got the professional microphone there. I'm gonna
Oh yeah,
have to get one of those from you.
$40 on Amazon. You can't beat it.
I'm definitely hitting up Amazon later tonight for $40. And so how's Florida Southern treating you?
Good, good. I love it. The
Good.
perfect location, perfect weather. Soccer's great, so
A
everything's
plus,
going
A
good.
plus. And you're doing all your homework, I hope.
Oh yeah,
All right, good, good. Mom and dad will be happy to hear
that's right.
that. So first things first, I always like to ask fans this, and I am in the same realm as you. I like a team that's out of state. So like, I'm a Viking fan in football, and I'm an A's fan in baseball, and you're a Celtic fan in New York, which sometimes can be dangerous for you.
Yep.
But I always ask the people, their Mount Rushmore of Celtics, and it could be any qualification you decide.
Yeah. So I got like three tiers almost. I
Sure.
got the old guys. The Bill Russell, the
Sure.
Larry Bird.
Right.
But for me, what got me into the Celtics was actually the big three, the big four.
Sure.
So Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Rondo, even Ray Allen. He was one of
Sure.
those guys
What a
that,
great team.
yeah, that 2008 year was the year that I was like, yep, that's my team. They won it.
Yeah.
I'm sticking with them for the rest of my life. So, yep. Ever since then, I've been
Yeah.
repping them.
Sure. Sure.
But recently, it's been my guy Tatum.
Sure.
Every year getting better. Yeah, I love Jaylen Brown, but something about Tatum.
Yeah, well, I'm a diehard Duke fan. My sister went to Duke. I've been rooting for Duke since '81, and I never forget one night. Tatum's like fourth game of college. He got a rebound. He just went coast to coast, and he just dunked it on someone. Then like 2 minutes later, he got a rebound, brought it up, and pulled up and stuck a three. And I was like, well, he's ready. I
Yep.
mean, when you do both those things,
Yeah.
you're scoring at different levels. I was like, and you could see his J was still not perfect yet. And then all of a sudden, when he had made that dunk on LeBron in the playoffs in Game 7, I
Oh
was
my
like, "Holy
God.
crap!" I was like, he just
Yeah.
pitched him. He slapped him.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh boy!"
I'll never forget that.
I mean, that was like,
I
I'm
think
not.
that was the year I finally was like, yeah, he's gonna be
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
He started to what was that, 2017, 2018?
yeah. I guess.
They made it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Sure.
Without we didn't have who was it at the time? I think Kyrie actually
Right.
was out.
Right. Sure.
So it was him and Jalen really leading that team. Rozier stepped up at the time, but
Love Rozier.
you
Yeah.
know, yeah, but yeah, those would be my Mount Rushmores.
Great players. And but yeah, Tatum. I always root for Tatum. I don't have a favorite pro team. I follow players, and they're almost always the Duke players. And Tatum's probably him and I guess Luke Kennard are probably my favorite guys. Grayson Allen. I know nobody else likes him, but I like him. So we follow those guys around. But I like the new addition, the new additions to your team. I like Horford a lot. I think he's like the pros pro,
Yeah,
and I like Cantor a lot. I really respect his offensive ability, and of course Schroeder is a acquired taste, but you needed a guard, and I think you picked up a good one. Before, I don't want to scare you to death here, but what would you think about a guy like? I know you're probably not going to want to do it. What would you think about Ben Simmons?
oh man, Ben Simmons. I think he's another one of those guys. I was telling you before about Dennis Schroeder. You don't really like them until they're on your team.
Sure,
And I think if Ben Simmons had the right coach and the right people around him, I think if he knew his role, he could be something.
sure, I agree with you.
I think in Philly they're trying to push him to be someone he's not really wanting to be.
Sure,
Um, I think he's more of a pass first guy,
sure.
and I think if you surround him around Jalen and Jason Tatum, it could be pretty dangerous.
Yeah, I guess the Celtics, and I understand their feeling that they'd be nervous because he's obviously backed himself into a corner here, getting thrown out of practice and things of that nature. And I guess he is getting paid a lot of money. So the Celtics, it's too much of a risk, I think, for a lot of teams right now to take that
Yeah.
long-term deal. But Chiefs, I agree with what you're saying there. I think that might be the fit for him right there. But at the same time, you don't know if he's going to flake out.
Yeah, exactly. And right now, Philly is asking for way too much.
Sure.
They want a star and a future guy, and
Oof, I
it's
hate to give
just
up
too
the draft
much.
picks. I can't give up
You
the
know.
draft picks.
Yeah, no.
I can't do it. But so what do you feel about your new additions? You happy with them?
I think so. Yeah, I think we had a really good offseason. I think a lot of people don't think that. I think, obviously last year, we had to be in the play-in game against Washington. Beat them, moved on to the Nets, and Tatum dropped 60 or 50, whatever it was.
You did.
A guy can't do it on his own. Jalen was
No,
out at the time with the wrist,
sure.
so yeah, I'm actually happy. Bringing back Smart is a big one for me.
It's one of my
Um,
favorite players in the league. Smart.
yeah, defensive player of the year candidate.
I
I mean,
love him.
every time,
He's just a killer. I love him.
Yeah, the hustle especially is just something I'm like,
He's a murderer. I
you
love him.
can't even ask for that anymore.
Yeah, I mean
Um,
he just bangs that three last night. You knew he was going to make it because he's not a good shooter, but when he takes big shots, you're like, it's going in
yeah, yeah,
because he's a
yeah,
tough dude. I love him. Love Marcus Smart.
yeah, and I'm happy we brought back, Cantor. Probably one of the best offensive rebounders in
Sure,
the game.
sure.
Horford, bringing back that veteran,
Love him.
mentality back into the
Love
locker
Horford.
room,
He's
and
very
then bringing in Schroeder and Richardson. I
sure.
think are going to be
Richardson, sneaky
huge.
athlete. Yep.
I think are going to be huge assets to this year, and Brad Stevens moving up, and Coach Udoka stepping in.
Yep.
I think that's a huge offseason,
Yeah.
win
Well,
in our favor.
it gives continuity to the franchise too. It's a familiar face. I have to go out and root for a guy that's on your roster that didn't play last night. A little Jabari Parker there. He's had a tough career.
Yep.
2 knee surgeries. He's always was a step slow. I still think he could score the basketball off the bench for you. We'll have to see if he fits in and if he's healthy first, because 2 knee surgeries is rough. But he was a high pick for a reason. So there's some talent in there, and he's a hard worker. I guess we just gotta hope that he gets healthy, because I think he could be a guy that might be able to give you a little spark. Score you. Because at the end of last season, he did it right for you. He can get you a couple of buckets.
Yeah, no, I think our bench definitely gained some depth. I think that's something we lacked in last year. There was like a crazy stat that came out at the end of last year. It was like we used 40 or 42 different starting lineups throughout the season. Some of these guys, rookies like Peyton Pritchard and
Sure,
Aaron Nesmith,
sure.
guys that probably wouldn't have played as much had to step up. And
I
I
like
think
coaching well.
developing them and, bringing back the guys that we brought back, I think this year could be something, especially with the question marks around the league this year.
Yeah, it was exciting to watch Brown play like that last night, because I remember when he got drafted, I kind of thought he was like unknown to a lot of people. Obviously, the Celtics knew him, which is why Ainge did a fine job. But when he came in the league, he was a streak shooter. But now you can see, obviously, he's obviously worked at his game. And for me, being a coach of basketball, I love watching a guy get better over the years. And so that's why him and Tatum are a dangerous duo, because they're both still probably not even in their prime yet.
Yeah.
And they're just two dangerous guys. And if you get Horford just to do his thing, and I love the big kid from Texas A&M off the, he's Williams is tough. I like him. I like Grant. I got Grant Williams too. He's playing undersized, but he's always been a tough guy. You have some great toughness on that team. I guess it's just going to come down to getting some stops and obviously putting the ball in the basket. But I think you'll be all
Yeah.
right putting the ball in the basket.
Yeah. Yeah. Rob Williams is another one of those guys I see making a huge jump this year.
Sure.
Even last night alone, I think he had 10 points and he was 100% from the field.
Yep.
And he had 5 blocks. So that's alone is huge.
It's funny, when I saw him in college, I kept going, holy mackerel. I said, this guy, and I forget, because they smacked the hell out of Carolina that day in that game. And I was like, holy crap. I said, this
Yeah.
guy's a beast. But then they said, well, he doesn't always go hard. I go, yeah, but you stick a couple of million in front of him, smack him around a little bit. He's a beast
Yeah.
now, man. I tell you, he's one of those scary guys. If he ever gets really hooked up with someone who, a coach where he has a great relationship and gets in his ear, that guy could be dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Udoka is going to be like that.
Yeah.
I seen it in preseason, actually. I think it was our third or it might have been our last game of preseason. Grant Williams missed an open, jumper from 5-10 feet. and complained to the refs, and Udoka pulled him right out
Yeah.
and didn't play him the rest of the game.
Yep.
So I think if he can hold that standard of
Sure.
we're not taking any bullshit or whatever
Yeah, I
the
like
whole
that.
season. I don't care if you're Tatum. I don't care if you're Grant Williams or the last guy on the roster.
Yeah.
Um, I think the problem last year was Brad Stevens. Honestly, I
Sure.
think he let the team walk over him a little too much.
Yeah.
And I think Marcus Smart was actually one of those guys that was taking advantage of him.
Sure.
Um, just to I think be safe that he was coming back this year with the
Yeah. And
extension.
I think Brad Stevens would also create a situation that was impossible for him to live up to. I think sometimes in coaching, I mean, coaching a long time, you get ahead of yourselves, and like he had done such an amazing job at Butler, and then he got the Celtics to peak so soon.
Yep.
He probably was too successful for his own good.
Yep.
And I was saying on my NBA thing the other day about a lot of times there's a whole list of coaches who have won Coach of the Year and then get fired a year or two later. It's just
Yep.
it's a long list. Byron Scott's done it. Ty Lue's done it. I mean, it's incredible. So I mean, they've all it's like you create your own success, and then people have no patience because they think that you could just turn it on and off. And some years it's just more difficult than other years. Gordon
Yep.
Hayward getting hurt, Kyrie is always a little bit difficult. I mean, so it's a tricky situation.
Yeah.
But
Definitely.
I think Brad, it's probably he's a victim of his own success, and sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
And like you get too close to the guys, and you don't want to be hard on them, and sometimes you have to. It's we've
Yeah.
all been there.
Yep.
But so the team addressed your concerns in the offseason. You liked your pickups, you said.
Yeah, I do. Bringing everyone back. Like I said, Cantor, Walford, Smart, bringing in Schroeder, Richardson. I think they're gonna make more of an impact than people think,
Sure. Sure.
especially Richardson.
Yeah.
Um, and I love the new coach. I think he's going to be hard. And just seeing him work with Tatum over in Tokyo throughout the summer, there was a video that came out, and he wants Tatum to play bully ball. He called it. He
Yeah.
wants him to get to the line more. He wants Tatum to be a defensive player of the year candidate. So
Yeah.
I think that he's only going to push these guys to be, better
Sure.
and have the right mindset, because last year I feel like we, after we lost a couple games, it just started to go down and down.
Sure. I think expectations were high too, and it's hard, and then
Yeah.
with Kemba was never really healthy, and it's hard, very hard
Yeah.
situation. It's injuries are a big part of it, and your division this year, though, holy mackerel, it's a rough division. Jesus.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. I think the whole East is very interesting,
I
but the
think it's better than
division
the West.
is,
I do.
yeah, I think so too. For me, Toronto, I'm not really worried about.
No.
They have, that Van Vliet. They have,
Yep. Yeah, they get
nothing
they're
to
rebuilding.
really, worry about.
Right, but everybody
Sixers
else,
right now, to me, are a big question mark,
sure,
because I feel like actually today I saw, I think it was the GM of Philly said that this whole Ben Simmons situation could go on to up to 4 years
sure.
if he doesn't, either commit to the team or if they don't get the guy they want in a trade package for him. So
Well,
I think Embiid's gonna have to step up really, really big this year, which he has. But to me, they're just, they can be on, they can be off.
yeah,
So I'm not necessarily too worried about them. I mean, they're always good, but
sure,
um, the Knicks are a very, very interesting team this year,
sure.
especially seeing last night's game.
Yep.
Fournier hitting 3 back-to-back threes in overtime, or
Yes.
oh my God, I was stressed out on the first day. Screaming at my TV. I had all my roommates here. We were watching the TV. I'm screaming. And, oh my God, it was a mess. But then,
Yep.
yeah, the Knicks are going to be very interesting. I think if they stay healthy, they can actually do something.
Sure.
Especially seeing after, Mitchell Robinson last night, and Obi
Love that.
Toppin had a good game last night, and
Yep.
obviously Kemba, and
Yeah.
you know,
It's a
and
scary
the
thing.
Nets are also interesting to me too, with the whole Kyrie situation.
Absolutely.
So, I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know if they're going to eventually trade him, or if he's going to, make a decision on his own, or so I think the division is open right now, especially after seeing, how dangerous Milwaukee is, and how the Nets could be disassembled.
Sure.
Um, So I think there's definitely a chance to, take the top spot, if not two.
Yeah, I think the East is so thinking that, and for really, I mean, you're in the last 20 years, I can't remember one time thinking East was better, but I think the East might be deeper this year. I mean,
Yep.
I think the Pacers are a sleeper team. I think the Heat will be a tough team.
Yep.
I even think the Pistons with that roster have done some good things. I know they're young. The Bulls are obviously going to be a lot better. And also, even the Magic have some tough players on that team. If all of this, of course, depends on health. You got to be healthy, and
Right.
that includes COVID, and you got to avoid all that. And it's not easy, but yeah, I think you guys definitely are competing for a home playoff series somewhere in those top four seeds.
Yeah.
You got to stay healthy, though. Of course, we talked about that, but you do have two of the best players on the floor every night. In Tatum and Brown.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Definitely. And that was something, going into the off season. I was hoping for a good off season because, you have two guys that are going to be all stars for,
sure,
years to come.
yeah,
And you don't want to waste their years with you because you don't
no,
know what they're going to do. So I think Tatum for sure is going to be a Celtics for life.
I hope so.
But Brown, I could see, asking for more money or, doing something, stupid, but it could happen. So you don't want to waste the years that he has. Even Rob Williams is another guy,
Yeah,
like I said, he put up, good numbers last night. Um, and you don't want to waste these guys' years. So that's why I was hoping we had a really good offseason, and I think we did.
yeah, and I think with the Celtics, they're always a live franchise. So if the deadline comes, you can always make a move. The Celtics are always willing to do things. They're always active. They always have been in the history of the franchise, going way back to when they were battling my man Magic back there. My man Magic over here. That's my guy. Even I don't root for the Lakers anymore. When Magic was there, I rooted for the Lakers. But the Celtics always made great moves at the deadline, and they were a franchise that were always, trying to improve themselves. They never stood pat. And
Yeah, there was a lot of rumors this year too. Especially having Tatum over in Tokyo. Him and Bradley Beal grew up together.
yeah,
Bradley Beal, obviously the Wizards aren't going to be, too much to handle this year.
that's right.
And he's on, I think, his last year of his contract. So, you know, they got a lot of money next year. So
Yep.
we'll see what happens. And Dame was actually in one of those conversations too.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with either of those two guys. They're both
Yeah.
killers.
Yeah. So I mean, I was praying we were getting one of those, but I'll
Yeah.
take what we got. I think we had a good
I'd like
offseason.
to see Beal. I'd like to see Beal get a chance to be on a good team. I felt like I thought they could have had something going down there, but him and Wall didn't get along, and they had some decent three men, but they kept giving away the small forwards, and they had a year or two where they had some playoffs, but I felt like they gave up on that too quick. But sometimes guys in the backcourt can't get along, so
Yep.
it creates a tough situation. But yeah, I think the conference is really rough, but I think I think it's a deep situation there. I really feel like I said the Bulls improved. Obviously, you have Milwaukee, which is they're a real team. You look at them
Yep.
on paper. Paper's one thing, but they are a solid team, obviously, to be the NBA champs. But I think your Celtics are in a good spot. I guess it's going to depend on the backcourt.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's going to take us, I would say, 1 or 2 weeks to figure out our true starting lineup. I was a little surprised last night to see, Grant out there starting. But I think that's just because Horford isn't, available yet with the whole COVID situation. Um, and a big guy I think we're going to see make a big jump this year, maybe even most improved, is going to be Romeo Langford.
Yep.
He's one of those guys that is a very consistent shooter. Um, and I forgot how many points he had. I think he had like 15 points last
He
night.
did
And
play
like,
well last night. He did. He played well.
yeah, he had a really good preseason. He had a good summer league. So, I'm excited to see him jump. Uh,
Well, to me too, the NBA thing has changed over the years. The days of guys playing 45 minutes in 82 games is over. So I feel like the teams that have the depth is really important. And in the front court, you guys have tremendous depth, and in the backcourt, if you can maybe get something out of like you're saying here, and those perimeter guys, if Langford steps up and Richardson steps up, I think you'll have that depth that you need. But again, it all comes down to some good fortune of the injury and stuff like that, and
yeah.
obviously COVID. But I think you guys could have some depth, and that's what you were saying before about the Knicks. I think the Knicks could have some really good depth. I guess Tibbs has a reputation of running guys into the ground, so you hope that he uses his depth.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't know if the Nets have that depth. I think that could hurt them in the long run.
Yeah, I think that's their problem was last year. Watching game 5, 6, and 7 of the Milwaukee series, I think Kevin Durant played every minute,
Yeah.
and James Harden played, if not every minute.
Yep.
So, you have two All Stars, but towards the fourth quarter and, possibly overtime, they're gassed.
Yeah.
So,
And the jump shots in the legs, and the legs are gone. Legs are the first thing to go.
yep.
So let me ask you this: as a diehard Celtic fan, what's the best case scenario for your Celtics this year? What do you think?
I think you said it perfectly. I think hosting a playoff series, there's no sports teams like Boston.
Right.
The thing about New York and LA is we have multiple teams of multiple sports.
Sure.
So, you can split the city in half, but
Sure.
Boston doesn't have that. Everyone there is a Celtics fan, a Red Sox fan, a
Yep.
Patriots fan. So,
Yep. My brother's a Red Sox fan.
yeah. So I think hosting a playoff series would be huge because like I said, there's nothing like Boston sports. I think we can take, if we do get the 4 seed, I feel like the Knicks are going to be, around where we are.
Sure.
So I think a Knicks Celtics series this year could be great. Start maybe another rivalry there.
Sure.
I know they got the Hawks rivalry. That was great last year, but
Hawks a lot of fun. That's a fun team.
yeah. Yeah, they were one of those teams I put down that are definitely going to be tough this year.
Yeah, a lot of depth. The only thing you can worry about them is, and been around a long time watching this, and sometimes a team gets ahead of the curve, but then all of a sudden people forget, like, all right, they might have exceeded what they did last year. Maybe again, like we talked about with Coach Stevens, teams can do this too to become a victim of their own success. I mean, if the Hawks don't make a deep run, of the fans pissed off at them, and Atlanta's kind of a weird sports town, as everybody's like from outside the town, so it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's so the fans can be patient because that team has so much depth also.
Yeah.
And you just hope that, people understand that maybe you can't win 2 playoff series next year. Maybe they can only win 1 this year. And like,
Right.
because teams, they go up and down. It's like, it's not, those great teams, they make that gradual climb, but sometimes you shoot out ahead of yourself, and it hurts because in the fans' eyes, they just assume you're taking the next step. And sometimes to take those first couple of steps, you got a break here or there. And now you don't get that break.
Yep.
And
Yeah. So, hoping to host
Sure.
playoff series.
Sure.
And even get to like the Eastern Conference Finals.
Sure.
I think if the seeding's correct, and I honestly think if the seeding was correct last year, they could have made a run. I think if we didn't have the Nets in the first round, and I think Tatum played the way he was playing in that game 5 or 6 against the Nets.
Sure.
I think they could have had something.
Well, you guys are banged up. You guys are banged up a little bit too last year. I mean, you got to have some health, and
we were the most affected team from COVID too.
Sure.
I think we had more days out than 12 or 13 teams combined.
Yeah, so it's a situation where you gotta be a little bit lucky. I hate to say it, but I think once you're hosting a playoff series, anything can happen. Because you win that one, now you're in the semis, and then who knows what happens, and then all of a sudden, and then maybe a favorite gets bumped off, and you get a matchup where it can work out for you. It is all about matchups.
Yeah, I think we saw that last year too with the Hawks.
Sure.
The Hawks getting Philly first round or second round.
Yep, second round.
And
it's tough.
That the Bucks Nets series was a good series too. So
much fun. So much fun. I really enjoyed the playoffs last year. I mean, I'd like to see them handle the pick and roll a little bit better than just drop coverage. But as a coach, it drives me a little nuts. There's no hedge. But most people today think a hedge is something on the back porch. But I don't know, it gets you a little affected. But so what's the worst case scenario for yourselves if you had to think as a pessimist?
For me, it's wasting a year for the Jays. Wasting a year for Jalen and Jason.
Yep.
Like I said, I think Tatum will stay. Brown, I'm not so sure. So
I think he'll stay.
Getting these guys, especially after last night, seeing him drop 46 points.
Well, he looked great last night. Good.
You don't want to waste a year. No. Even last night, it's like, all right, yeah, he dropped 46, but we didn't win. So
that's true. That's very true.
And then obviously not making the playoffs or even getting a low playoff seed and having to play in the play-in game. Last year that was definitely different for them.
Yeah.
So, a 1-game play-in, it's not a series. It's
Yeah. It's do or die. It's sudden death.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Yeah.
So, what's your prediction for the team this year then?
I think we can host the playoff series. I
Okay.
think we'll get top 4 in the East.
Okay.
All depending on if we stay healthy, obviously, and
Obviously, all these predictions are based on health.
yeah. I see Tatum and Tatum and Jalen Brown continuing to rise and being all stars again.
Sure.
Smart, possible defensive player of the year candidate if he can keep up
Love
the
smart.
hustle and
Love
yeah.
smarts.
And I see Schroeder actually having a really good year. I think after denying a 80 something million 4-year deal with the Lakers,
Yeah.
he's only got 1 year with us, and it
Sure.
was for less than 6 million.
Yeah.
So this is his do or die year. I'm calling it.
Yeah.
So
I
I think it's if he can do something with us. I don't know if we'll be the extension he'll get. I think it will
sure.
be somewhere else, but his career I think lies this 1 year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you like you said, you have some money in return waiting there. So maybe next year you don't need Schroeder and you go get a Beal.
Right? Yeah. Only one can hope.
Yeah. The one fortunate thing about you guys is every night you'll always have a shot because you got two killers on the court.
Yeah.
You got two guys who can always get a bucket, and
Yeah.
that's rare. Most teams don't even have one true guy that gets a bucket. You
Right.
got two. You got two of the top 15 players in the league.
Yeah.
So, and
I know.
and Brown is a very good defender as well. I mean, Tatum's getting there, but Brown's already a really, I think, a very underrated defender.
Yeah. Yeah. The
So,
thing that makes me mad about them though is, we'll grab the defensive rebound and then we'll push it down the court and there'll be like 20 seconds left on the shot clock and we're chucking up threes. And it's most of the time Marcus Smart.
yep.
He gets me so frustrated. I'm like, relax. Screaming at my TV to relax. Yeah, I got the Apple Watch on. It's telling me to breathe and stuff every couple minutes.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah. Well, the Apple Watch is right. I mean, Bill Gates is monitoring, not Bill Gates, but the guy who's passed away, Steve Jobs, is monitoring you.
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I think that the Celtics will be in that 4 or 5 range. I mean, I think having the two killers will help. And like we said, we hate to beat a dead horse here, but the backcourt is going to, I think, determine it because I think you got great depth up front.
Yeah.
And if Richardson steps up and maybe you get Jabari off the bench there to help you out. And of course, you're going to get Smart's best effort every night. And if Schroeder stays balanced and hungry, I think, you guys could do some great things. I just think you got to use that depth. I think the NBA guys sometimes forget that.
Yeah.
Like, I think you got to commit to it every night. You're like, at this moment, this guy comes out regardless, unless there's foul trouble or something. But I think the NBA coaches have to think that way. Because like I said, there's no more 82 games played anymore. There's always a load management situation somewhere.
Right.
It's not the days of Larry Bird playing 82 the games with a pinched nerve.
That's right.
Or
Paul
Kevin
Pierce getting
McHale,
wheelchaired off.
Kevin McHale with a broken foot playing 82 games. But
Yeah, exactly.
things are over because I remember when they did that, it was like, damn, these sons of bitches are still playing. I'm going to get my Lakers to get a better record. Drove me crazy. But so you think a four seed. All right, good. Four or higher, actually. But all right. So anything else you want to add about yourselves before we get off the air? And I think they're playing the Raptors tonight, right?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow night, playing the Raptors.
Yeah, we got the Raptors on tomorrow, and then Houston on Sunday.
Houston on Sunday.
Houston should be 2 wins.
Yeah, should be 2 wins, but you know how it is in the NBA. You never know what you get, and what you get effort wise and stuff. So that's when Marcus Smart comes in handy. He's a guy that makes the engine run no matter what. He's going to play hard. But it's really great to have you on, Nick. And anytime you want to come back on,
hopefully for a playoff series.
You or your buddies in the dorm there, or anything you want to rant about. We're glad to have you here on Telling It Like It Is.
I know
it's the best thing is just to have I always tell people, I go on these different, like I'm on A's fan sites and Viking fan sites and NBA sites. I tell you, anybody wants to come on, talk about anything. It's great.
Yeah. I'm telling them, get mics. We can talk about anything.
Anything sports related. I just don't want to do politics. It's too frustrating. But thanks for coming on and continued success down there with the Moccasins.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Take care, Nicky.